time we'll have, that's actually a really good example. So Boss Roland, we do okay with it, but it's a major, major brand.
Yeah.
And we should do a lot better with it. I know that we have not built that hyphen between Riff City Guitar.
I think Boss should sponsor the Throw the Boss Out podcast myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will call up everybody I know there and see what they
Or just
see
give
what
me
they
one
say
of their
about it.
practice amps because I love their practice amps.
Now, another pretty famous, to guitar players anyway, brand called TC Electronic. Again, very, very prolific. They sell a lot of pedals. We sell those like crazy. Now, can I tell you why? No. Do I think that it has something to do with our branding and our logo and just being appealing to their people? Yes. So I'm saying all this to make the point that it is really, really important that you get a good, decent logo. Let me see what else about logos.
And by the way, if you'd like to sponsor this show, to be serious about it, you can email me at jsouhan47, the number 47 at gmail.com.
Yes, thanks, Jim. See, you're not an agitator. You're a supporter.
I'm versatile.
You're a show supporter.
I'm versatile.
I mean, you just flip back and forth, I guess, between the two.
I have a toggle switch.
Slogans and mantras and vibe and public perception. What are you thinking about that?
Say it one more time.
So slogans, mantras. So a business mantra. Let's not get too hung up in the Buddhist. So just something that we say within our company to get the focus where it needs to be, and vibe within the store, which create the outside public perception. Give me some examples of places that you go, whether it be places you like to eat, places you like to buy, places that you like to be, and just pick one and say, here's their, if you remember their slogan, say it, but just talk about their vibe.
Okay. I will talk about one of your competitors.
Okay.
And
I hope you're going to say awful things.
Well, I'm not going to be hypercritical or try to tear them down. I'm just going to offer an observation.
Why not?
Okay, maybe I'll get to it. So one of your competitors, very large competitor of your guitar shop, I
actually think you have a love affair with them. You bring them up every time.
Well,
I mean, it's one of these things where you can't not talk about them when we talk about Riff City Guitar, and I don't know. Actually, I'm going to make a point after this whole thing, but go ahead.
It's because here's the thing. When I go into Riff City, it's a good vibe. The very fact that you have comfortable chairs and couches there.
Don't forget the cookies.
Big deal. I can't eat gluten. It's poison to me, so I can't have the cookies. But cookies is a great idea, though. I would have
drink
cookies
coffee
too. Oh God, yes.
Coffee's always on.
Yep. And the fact that you can walk in there, and if I want to, walk around and play guitar for an hour, my wife has a comfortable place to sit. If I want to sit down in a comfortable chair as opposed to just a stool to play, that's such a big deal, right? So there's one of your competitors. And, I've gone there frequently over the last couple of years because I buy a lot of...
Truth comes out. No. Goes there frequently.
Before I learned of Riff City Guitars, before I ever visited your store, I buy a lot of the equipment you see here. I used to buy it from this place because it's easy. It's right there. They have a bunch of locations, right?
They're not a mom and pop.
They're not a mom and pop. And it's interesting. Over the last 6 months or so, it's gone from being a place... And again, I have to be fair here because there's one of their locations that still has a kind of a good vibe to it. You still walk in, people are friendly but not pushy. Some of the better guitars are within reach and not locked up. You can kind of plug in yourself, play. And that's what I'm looking for when I go to a place. Most of their locations now, you walk in and they have anything you'd want to play locked on a high shelf where you could not possibly access it yourself. There aren't as many chords out. It's you now have to kind of have the salesperson conversation to even just touch a guitar that you would want to play.
That might be just because you don't buy anything, and so they see you coming. They're like, just get this guy out of here as soon as possible.
A, I have bought stuff there, and B,
just kidding.
And B, they don't. If I
kind of got under their skin.
If I hadn't bought stuff there, they wouldn't know that.
I think I've just turned it into the agitator. Sorry.
And C, they wouldn't have any idea if I would have bought it if I could have touched it myself. So vibe, to me, in those kinds of retail stores, I react incredibly strongly to that kind of vibe. Are you trying to put me in front of a high pressure salesperson? Can I do things myself? Can I browse a little bit? That's a big deal to me.
So contrast that, or give me the same example, not in the guitar store industry.
My preference in restaurants is pretty much exactly the same as my preference in retail stores. I don't want to feel like sometimes my wife likes expensive jewelry, so every once in a while, if we happen to buy a store,
well, a woman who likes expensive jewelry.
I know, it's shocking. We're innovators in our family, and I'll walk into like something expensive, and I just feel like I should be cleaning the floors. I don't feel like I belong in there, and I don't want to feel that way if I go to a guitar shop or a restaurant. I want relaxed, casual. I don't want to feel rushed. I don't want to feel pushed. I like people who can provide information but not rush me toward a sale or try to upsell me.
Yet there are many places that are full of people, and you just said you don't like to go there.
Right.
This is my point.
It's the Yogi Berrism. The place is so crowded, nobody goes there anymore.
Right, exactly. I just said that last night. That's funny. I don't think I realized.
Roy Smalley, our baseball guru and the expert, he knew Yogi. He used to talk to Yogi, and he brings up Yogi Berrisms all the time.
I would. They're fantastic.
Yes.
So the point is, as a business, when you create your vibe, with whatever it is, if you got a slogan, if you just, the way the people you hire, right? Everything, the way the place is laid out, it's all going to go to attracting a certain kind of a person.
True.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to kind of control your vibe, so to speak, your public perception. I want to talk about the public perception a little bit. You brought up something before that was, you bring up the big, massive chain store in the guitar store industry. And then there's us. I had an interesting conversation with one of our brand reps who sells a little bit more boutique product. Mm-hmm. And when we started selling that product, we thought, wow, we're going to really do well with this, because he has a lot of other stores that don't get or online stores that don't get the kind of traffic that we do. So he was thinking, we're going to do really great with this. Turned out that we didn't do great with it. Did okay with it, but we didn't do very well. And then we had simultaneously done a poll. It was more of a open-ended question poll on Facebook, asking people if they like to shop online versus in a store. And the responses indirectly stated, they were just talking about different brands and about different aspects of our store. My friend called me and said, I think you are the alternative to this big chain store. And our boutique products sell in more of the kind of niche-y, smaller places. Mm-hmm. And I think he was correct. And I thought, well, that is a good thing for us to go after. Now, if you'd have said that to me 6 months before that, I would have said, I don't know that I like that comparison, right. But today I'm thinking, why not have the vibe of this company that sold millions and millions of dollars, whether or not they made millions and millions of dollars off of those millions of dollars or not is beside the point. The fact is that they attracted that much business by providing things in a certain manner. And here I have somebody saying, you're like that, but better, because you have the service and you have this other stuff that the public perception for the big stores, and it's not just them, but big stores, is that you don't get that. And I thought, I'm going to live with that. And that brings up the point I made it earlier, and I want to really accentuate it now, is don't be dishonest with yourself about what your public perception is, or what the public perception of your company is. You want to know that, good, bad, or indifferent. Don't pretend, because to pretend that it's one thing when it's not is to be the demise of your company for sure. So the other thing is we talked a little bit about how you market your business. Not only what does your marketing look like, but how do you go about it? Auto places. Almost every time a new brand would blow into our town, I would get a phone call. It would get like a telemarketing call from that auto place. Worst thing you could ever do.
Yep.
Like I hate, and this is 15 years ago before, email and all that had really come into play, but I had a bad perception of that brand forever. To this day, I would never buy any of those brands that did that, because to me, I associated telemarketing with desperate, pushy,
annoying.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that each one of them did it tells me that in the end, it sold cars for them, right? Maybe it was a short-term play or whatever. We're not here to second guess how people do things. I'm trying to make the point. How you decide to get out to people makes a big difference. The first week that we were in business with Rift City Guitar, we had this tiny little store. It was literally 900 square feet. So our first store was 900 square feet. It's very, very tiny for a retail store. That had guitars, basses, drums.
Wow.
We packed it all in there. And we did, I did spend a lot of time and effort on our logo. I spent a lot of time and effort on our mailings. On our marketing. We did a mailer. We did a direct mail piece, which people had kind of stopped doing. We did a direct mail piece and some other advertising. And I had somebody come in the first week and say, "Is this a chain?" And again, there was this, should I like that or not? And I decided, yeah, I should like that, because that, to me, that says that we did a good enough job of branding that somebody. And so I said to them, we're just a single store, but just what makes you think that? And they said, well, no local stores actually send a piece of mail anymore. That only comes from the big. That only comes from the big stores. Now, they didn't know I owned a mailing company and I could do that a lot cheaper than a regular, company could. But it just goes to my point that all these things make a big difference. If you're very loud on, Google, if you use Google AdWords and you're very loud there, that can have a negative effect if you're not doing that right. If you use remarketing, which I'm sorry, folks, we do, where if you go to our site and look at something, you might see that thing show up in your thing in your browser again somewhere. So that it works, but it can annoy people. Actually, I've had a few people say that before, but everybody does it. So we just feel like we're okay, I guess. Just try, like when you get marketing, there must be situations where you think this gives you an impression, a good impression, or a negative one.
Well, because I'm a guitar freak, I always have ads for guitars showing up on my screen, whether I ask for them or not. And frankly, it doesn't really bother me.
How do the catalogs work for you? Do you get the catalogs?
I don't.
Because there's a few.
Well, I get catalogs that I don't think I ever asked for, but yes, I do get catalogs
for guitars.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is market research right here. I mean, this is going to happen right here on the air. We're going to do market research. Does it get your attention? Does it make you, do you go through it? Or do you throw it away?
I used to leaf through them. The more I know exactly what I want, the less useful they are to me. And everything is so easily accessible online, including good used guitars, that no, I don't read them anymore.
Okay. So does it give you an impression of the company, though? So that you don't use the catalog, but do you think, oh, it must be a pretty big place? Or do you think they're old and dated, nobody does catalogs? Or what do you think?
I actually kind of like the catalogs because, let's face it, if you put out a good catalog, it makes your store look pretty spiffy, and it looks like,
you're big.
Anybody who puts out a catalog is going to make themselves look good in the catalog. So I actually think it's fairly effective.
Just a second, I'm ordering a catalog. Calling the printer right now. I'm texting while we're doing the show. So we just got to look big. So, those are the most important things that I can talk about branding. The logo, again, don't have your brother design your logo, or anybody that you know for that matter. Have somebody who's a professional. Actually own a slogan. Get a slogan that's printed in a lot of places where people see it, and get a slogan that gives the dog a good name, so to speak. Right?
What would be a good slogan for this network?
A good slogan for this network.
Better than radio?
You're going to put me on